All right, in this video, we're gonna compare some numbers. Now, if I would say you have the number 10 and you have the number 5, which one is greater? Well, 10 is greater than 5. You're comparing a whole number to a whole number. As long as you're comparing the same thing, it's not too bad. But what about you get to something where it says, I have 3/20ths and I have 16%. Which one is more? This is a fraction. This is a percent. I'm not comparing the same things. So I either got to make this into a percent or I make this into a fraction. Then I can compare the fractions or compare the percents. The thing I like to do is I usually go to a percent. So if I have 3/20 over here and I want to get this to a percent, I always go through decimal. So I go 3 divided by 20.15. And then once I get to my decimal, I put that down, then I move over 1, 2, and I put the percent symbol. Okay? So 0.15 is the same as 15%. So this is 15%, and this is 16%. Now I'm comparing 15% and 16%. Those I can say which one's greater. Which one's greater? 16%. If I have 16% of something, I have a little bit more than if I have 15% of something. But once you get them to be the same, and then you go back to your original number, so it'd be like this. 3/20th is less than 16%. Someone say, well, how do you know that? Well, you say, well, I changed this to a percent, and I know this equals 15%, and I know 15% is less than 16%. So get them to be the same. It's easier to compare all fractions, or compare all decimals, or compare all percents. Okay? That's all you have to do when you're comparing. Get them, and I like to just go percents, because then you have 20% or 80% or 40% or 30% or 20 or 140% or 0.3%. And once you get the percents, then you just compare the numbers, and whichever one's bigger is bigger, because you're comparing percent to percent. Okay, now let's get rid of these. That would be comparing two numbers. Now, what if we want to order three numbers from least to greatest? Least meaning the smallest, and then you're getting bigger all the way up to the greatest. Okay, so I'm going to give myself 4 numbers. I have 0.3, I have 1/8, I have 4%, and I have 75%. Right away, I know that 75% is bigger than 4% because those are both percents. These two, not quite sure. So if I'm going to compare these 4 numbers, I'm going to get them all to be either fractions, all decimals, or all percents. And I'm going to go with percents. So I have to get 0.3 and then 1/8. I need to get those to be a percent, and then I'll be able to compare them. 0.3, I write it over here. Then I go over 2, 1, 2. I have to put a 0 there, and then I put my percent symbol. 0.3 is the same as 30%. 30%. This is 4%, and this this is 75%. All right, now I just have this one other one here, 1/8. 1/8, I'm gonna take it to a decimal. I go to my calculator. 1 divided by 8. 1 divided by 8 equals 0.125. I write that down here. But because I went from here to here, I gotta go 1, 2, put the decimal there, and then put a percent symbol. So 1/8 is 12.5%. So I have 30%, 12.5%, 4%, 75%. These I can compare. Which is the smallest of these? 4%. Then I go to the original. So I put 4% down here, comma, I want to get a little bigger. I'm done with that one. 12% is a little bigger, not quite to 30 and not to 75. So there's 12.5%, which is 1/8. So I put my 1/8 down next. So I'm done with that one. Now, which one gets a little bigger? 30 or 75? Well, 30 is just a little, and that's 0.3. Okay, and I cross that out, and then I'm left with 75%. So all I did was get these to be all percents, compared them, and now this is the least, gets a little bigger, little bigger, little bigger. And I put them in order, least all the way up to the greatest in their original form. Okay, let's do one more of those. That's kind of fun. All right, least to greatest. This time I'm going to do 51 over 50. That's a fraction. And then I'll do 105%. That's a percent. And I have 1.5. And then I have 9/10. So I have I have 2 fractions, a percent, and a decimal. I'm going to get them all to be percents. Well, this one, 105%, is a percent. But these other ones are not. So let's put them what they are, and then I'll get them to percents. So that's a fraction, 51, 50. 1.5 is a decimal, and 9/10 is a fraction. Okay. So let's start with the top one. 51 over 50. So I take 51 divided by 50 equals 1.02. And then if I put that as a there, and then I will 1, 2, put my percent symbol, 102%. So 51 over 50 is 102%. Now this one, I don't have to worry about fraction. I'm just going to start from my decimal and go this way. 1.5, 1, 2, and then my percent symbol. There's nothing here, so I have to put a 0 there. And that one gets me 150%. Ooh, that's a lot. Now 9/10, I have to take 9/10 to decimal. 9 divided by 10 equals 0.9. Then I put my 0.9 here. 1, 2. There's nothing here, so I have to put the 0 there. And that's 90%. 90%. Now, I just look at all my percentages, and I go least to greatest. Which one's smallest? Well, 90%. 90%. Oops, I did something wrong. I don't want to do 90%, I want to do the original. So 9/10 is the least. Then, which one's a little bigger? 102, which would be this one. 51 over 50. Okay. Then 105%, which is 105%. That was the original. Then the last one is 1.5. that's 150%. Now it's interesting, I wouldn't have guessed that 1.5 was my biggest. I'm looking at 51 over 50, I'm looking at 105%, 9/10, that looks like a lot, but 1.5, that's my biggest. Greatest over here, least over here, and it goes in order. And the way you can find that out is by comparing the same things. And for me, percents. I like percents. But you could also compare decimals. Yeah, let's say I have decimals. See if it gets me the same thing. I think it will. So I have decimals for all these. The 105. I don't have a decimal for that, but I can get it. 105%. I get rid of the percent symbol, put the decimal where it is, 1, 2. So it is 1.05. So if I do decimals, this one is 1.02. 1.5 is 1.5, of course. 9/10 is 9/10, and 1.05. So, when I have decimals, I think of money, and I can put a 0 here and a 0 here. Now, if I think of money, I have 90 cents, I have $1.50, $1.05, $1.02. So, which is my smallest? 90 cents. So 9/10. And then I'm going to get a little bigger, 102, which is 51.50. Okay. Then a little bigger is this 105, 105%. And then this 1.5 is the biggest. And that's exactly the same I did when I was getting my percents. Okay. The trickiest one is to compare fractions, because the only way to compare fractions is to have the same denominator. So then you have to do some conversion to get the same denominator. I recommend comparing decimals, comparing percents. Now that you know how to get a number into any one of these columns, you can pick and choose. You have the freedom, you have the power, you have the knowledge to get them wherever so that you can compare and figure it out, least to greatest. All right. Hopefully that makes sense to you. We will be practicing a lot of this in class.